Good. Probably what's going to happen. Going to get halfway through this movie. Oh yeah, that pun I was talking about at the beginning. This is how it goes.
It's okay. I call myself Mountain Soul, but I'm more of a molehill.
Hey, don't make mountains out of molehills. Also, don't cry over spilt milk. Don't cry over spilt milk, but I cry over spilt milk because milk is good. Tasty, tasty, big, tall, 22.5 ounce glasses of milk.
It's very disappointing when you spill milk. You're just like, oh, but I wanted that.
We buy a gallon once every 2 weeks. Never put it in a cup. Just leave it in the gallon. I live alone, so I can just drink it out of the gallon whenever I feel like I want some milk.
Except like the monster that you are.
Yep, pretty much. I can be a monster pony sometimes. Thank you. Every morning when I look in the mirror, and every morning after I groom myself and look in the mirror, yep, still a monster.
What's your preference on skim milk?
Say what now?
What's your preference on skim milk?
Skim milk isn't real milk. Skim milk is milk pretending to be water. It's water pretending to be milk.
I have the same feelings. I have the same feelings with
skim milk is water pretending to be milk. It's fake milk. It's illegal milk.
I don't know. Skim milk isn't all bad. I mean...
Yes, it is. It's what Satan drinks.
I mean, almond milk is okay too, you know.
Yeah, but I don't know who gets up at 4 a.m. in the morning and milk those almonds. Man, I tell you what, they gotta have the hardest job.
You might even say they're nuts.
Hey, I understand almond milk for those who are like lactose intolerant, but skim milk just doesn't make sense. Like,
I'm telling you, it's white water. That's all it is. It's not really milk. It's white water.
It doesn't benefit anyone.
I have had skim milk before, and I'm like, this. It tastes like water with, like, it's gone sour. It tastes like sour water, actually, believe it or not. That's a problem there. I'm like, this doesn't taste like water at all. This tastes like water that went bad. And I'm like, what is this skim? It's like, yeah, okay. Can I have water for breakfast instead, since you don't have milk? Because all that was there was water, skim milk, and soda. And soda for breakfast really isn't that great when you're having things like pancakes.
Put soda over your cereal.
No, I wasn't having cereal. I was having pancakes with syrup. So the syrup was what I drank most of. But I drank water too. I needed water after it because I had syrup on my fingers. And I don't know if you know about. I'm sure everybody knows about syrup on your fingers. You get kind of sticky after a while. So.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, water with pancakes and syrup, and I was really full and bloated after that. But that was okay because I wasn't doing anything for the rest of the day. That was all that. What's the word? Not productive. It's when you actually do something.
Scrumdiddlyumptious?
No, it's an actual word.
So next you're gonna tell me supercalifragilisticexpialidocious is not a real word.
No, neither is it said backwards, which I don't know you can say because apparently it's atrocious.
Blasphemy.
But I just can't remember what
we actually
the word
could
is.
stop the...
No, we don't need to do that. We don't need to start the video at all. This is what we should do every other Saturday. Just randomly talk about nothingness.
Okay, actually, with being an extrovert, I would not mind that.
Hey, I've been an extrovert since 1990. April 24th, 1990, about 7:15 a.m.
So, the minute you were born, you started talking about the different types of cake there are to buy at the store, and the benefits of having devil's food versus having, say, angel food.
I don't like either of those cakes. I like two kinds of cakes, and you may get one. You'll never get the second one. Trust me, you will get one for sure. You might get one for sure, but you'll never get the second one.
Anyways, we better go ahead and begin. Hello and welcome to the Omega Republic's Pony Life Reviews with me, Coppercap, as one of the hosts. We also have the leader and designer for these reviews, Miss Mountain Soul.
Hello there.
And the weird guy in the back is Cosmic Pros.
Cosmic, you're not going to say anything?
I said something. I just wasn't very loud.
Oh, and now I have a lawnmower outside the window, so I apologize for that.
All right.
Don't worry, we'll cut right through this.
Alright, so the first episode that we will be reviewing is, in Pony Life, is going to be the best of the worst. And it was a quite interesting one to get started on, as it goes after Rainbow Dash. It's themed about Rainbow Dash and her competitive streak for competitions. And then she gets challenged by Dishwasher Bog to being the best of the worst, where they go through a few different tests. What were they? They were emotional, artistic, and what was the last one?
The first one was strength. Like Rainbow picked up a building eventually, and Dishwater couldn't even pick up a can that was empty that got blown over by a gust of wind. The second one was creativity, and what it was is that Twilight was amazed because the way that Rainbow painted, or more or less put cream on the cake, how she iced the cake was abstract in its way, so Twilight was freaking out like those weird people do. And Pinky was like atrocious, which is weird for Pinky. She was flipped out by Dishwater's Employee of the Month picture, and Rarity even fainted onto her fainting couch during that as well upon viewing it. And the last one was emotions. So yeah, and to be perfectly honest, Rainbow is not a loser at all kind of pony, regardless she tries to do. It's like, even if she tries to mess up, she just makes it better for one pony or another. It's just, she's got a different kind of loser take all. Hers is always winner take all, even when you lose, kind of a deal.
Yeah, so what I found interesting as we were going through is both emotions and artwork or creativity are very subjective. So every person handles their emotions and their creativity differently, so it's very hard to actually judge anything on. So already, the odds are stacked against her, because you could say, oh yes, this is very creative in randomness, but other people would say, oh, randomness isn't creativity, it's randomness. So judging on those things is very difficult, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. With the beginning of the episode, I mean, we get a chance to actually see our first foal, I believe. Doing the typical admiring and idolizing Rainbow Dash. The
So
design.
once he crushes under the freaking reward, it's like, and here's a big orb, I'm gonna crush you under it. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with this show already? It's getting worse. What the hell?
I mean, the designs.
Holy crap, there's no hospital anywhere. Let's just crush a pony every so often. But then it's like, hey, he's back at the end of the episode, totally unharmed. It's like, wait, what?
Cartoon
What?
logics.
How was he back? He's dead.
Exactly.
It's like you come in a movie, you see somebody that died 15 minutes ago, and then they're in the exact same spot they were earlier, and there was, wait a minute, she died!
But I mean, design. I mean, I don't know. We did not see a foal, I believe, in the first episode, did we?
No.
Mm-mm.
Now, what is? I'll go ahead and give a brief, my brief, opinion of the foal that we now see. I mean, it is what they've done is kind of base it off of the the newborn foal design that we saw in Friendship is Magic, where I mean, it's just as basic as you can get. But really, what really throws you off is the eye design. It kind of just it signalizes it's supposed to make you think of youth, but it just feels kind of creepy to me.
I personally kind of liked the full design, at least better than what was her name? The Princess Philly.
Oh, you mean
Flurry Heart.
yeah, Flurry Heart.
Flurry Heart, yeah, sorry, I can't think in this heat.
Okay.
It's very hot here in this room. Flurry Heart. I actually prefer the design than Flurry Heart, but as a design standpoint, as an artist, bigger eyes and smaller body with a big head usually symbolizes more cutesy or baby-like, but the characters that we already have are like already super chibi to the extreme, so it's very hard to make something even more cutesy than that.
Unless it's, well, talk about that when we get to it. But
I kind of like the Philly.
I agree with that, but I have to agree with Copper on the thing that the foal did look more like the newborn foals from Friendship is Magic, because if you go back and think to the most foal-related episodes with Pumpkin and Pound Cake, Cake's twins, if you look at their bodies, their heads and their body are more circular, just with a couple, arms and legs, if you will, or legs, if you will. And that's kind of what this guy was. It looked like he was just a fat pony. Just a fat pony with a fat face. He was like 2 circles and legs and a tail. That's practically what Pound and Pumpkin Cake were, too, except in a much more, I'm going to say, well-drawn version of ponies. So, but yeah, I have to agree with Copper on this, that it does kind of look a bit like a filly, from a newborn filly, from the, or newborn foal, I guess is the correct word, from the Friendship is Magic Gen 4 group. But yeah, the cutesy thing, like I said, I'll talk a little bit more about that one when we get to episode 4. Right now we're on 2. Or however you want to number episodes.
Yeah, the number of the episodes is very confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I understand. It's actually going to get even more confusing later on. Just wait.
Oh, yay!
Yeah. Anyways, moving on.
I'm like, wait a minute. There's an A and a B now? What?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
A
no.
million just B or well, what it is right now we're working through parts 1 and 2, which make up one episode. It's like the part 1 is uh, the context of what's happening to the climax, and part 2 is the climax problem solving to the resolution. It looks like when we get to the next ones, several episodes from now, we still got some to go. There's an A episode and a B episode, much like the size of a cassette, and they're like different episodes. They don't coincide. They don't go together at all. So, fun.
Mhm.
Oh, yay.
They're
I'm
not-
definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's not two parters anymore, folks. It's gonna get real. It's gonna get dangerous.
Speaking
I'm
of
thinking they might
dangerous,
still be 12 minutes long, and I'm already afraid of that. I'm like thinking, wait a minute, how do you figure out anything in 12 minutes? We've seen what happens in 12 minutes. It doesn't work. Problems in 12 minutes is when you wake up and say, no, I'm going back to sleep. That better be every episode, because that works every time.
with the furthering of this episode, we also get our first physical male antagonist.
Dishwater Slaw,
Yep.
who was played by Kyle Rideout, who's actually the voice of Thorax in Friendship is Magic.
Oh, no. They ruined my boy. No.
It's interesting to see a voice actor like that go from such a positive soft-spoken protagonist to this, I guess we could call him lazy louse antagonist.
Lazy, dirty, apathetic, doesn't care, doesn't really try to be productive member of society, like a lot of people are today in the real world. That's scary, kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
I think the
Like here's not
idea.
the villain.
I think the idea of Dishwasher is that he is the epitome of the stereotypical internet troll. Like that, the way he talks, the way he thinks, the whole competitive best of being the worst is him literally being the epitome of an online troll.
Hadn't considered that. That's actually a pretty.
Yeah, it's interesting when I think about it. Copper, do you have some more to add? Or
No. You can go ahead.
okay, when I thought about it, when I said Dishwater Slaw, who is he like? Because I like to try and take whoever's in the show and try and relate them to somebody else in the actual Gen 4, which I've actually got one for that for episode 4 as well for one of the characters that we meet for a very short amount of time. But anyway, I try to get them with somebody else in the Gen 4, and I felt that Dishwater Slaw was kind of like Zypher Breeze, Fluttershy's brother.
See, I feel like Zypher is, or Zephyr, I forget how to pronounce it, is more of just a topper. Like, he just wants to be the best. He just wants to have attention. While Dishwasher is intentionally trying to goad Rainbow Dash and her friends into feeling bad or being horrible people.
Or Fluttershy's dad felt when Zypher said, "Hey, I'm going to take the shed that you have all your clouds in, just start tossing them out." That's where that comes back to lines like that. I know that Dishwater's like, I'm the best at losing, and I can prove it because I can beat you, and you can't lose. I understand that, but Zypher comes back. He says he's the best, but we know but we see what he does, so we're like, you're the best at being bad. And then when he goes through all of his quote-unquote job stuff, it's kind of like he makes the other ones do it because he thinks they'll do it better because they've got because they've done it before or something relatively to it, although they're doing it pretty bad themselves. Kind of like when the Cutie Mark Crusaders in the one episode where they have their first meeting and supposed to be at Rarity's house, and then instead it's at Fluttershy's cottage, and they're like trying to, could be creature catchers, could be carpenters, and they're not. And it's just like, all sorts of stuff like that going through. It's like, oh well, that's kind of like everything, because they try to do a. Oh crap! I can't even remember now. The episode's getting a little blurry. Anyway, they try to do all this other stuff, so I'm actually thinking of 2 different episodes. Don't listen to me, the crazy man. The crazy man on the other side of the mic doesn't know what he's talking about. Don't pay any attention to me, folks.
No, yeah, I think I understand now. I see where you're coming from, and I do kind of see that connection.
Yeah, it's just.
I don't know. I feel like there's still a difference between Ziffer and Dishwasher, where Ziffer basically just is using people, but still like does his own thing, while Dishwasher intentionally goads you to do bad things and is basically the idea of the 35-year-old man living in his mother's basement, trolling people on the internet.
His name is Chuck. He lives in his mom's basement. He weighs 300 pounds. He's had the same underwear on since last year. Nothing at all. Just a random crazy man, like I said.
Anyway, I've actually met someone similar to Dishwasher, where they goaded me and used things that I cared about just to have an argument. And I feel like that's kind of the point of what they're trying to do with Dishwasher, is have him basically just use Dashi as a means to make people upset.
Yeah, I mean, I see that too. Dishwasher is. Yeah, I've met people like Dishwasher, and don't really care for people like Dishwasher all that much. I can get along with them for about 5 minutes, and it's like, hey, you know what? You're over there, but I still want to strangle you. You look very strangulable.
He's not. He seemed like to me at first, like he was just saying, like, you know what? I have one thing that you'll never have: being the best at being the worst. That's just. I mean, it didn't really seem like he was really threatening Rainbow Dash, but he just wanted to, prove his point. Is what the first impression was.
He was able to make an argument without arguing. He was able to raise the ire without, any. He was able to be apathetic while still raising ire. Let's put it that way. Those are the coolest kind of people. It's like when you have. It's like when there's a cop and there's a Karen. The cop is so calm and normal, and the Karen's like, "Holy crap! I'm gonna punch you in the throat." And the cop's just like, "No, you're not." And the Karen keeps on yelling, and the cop's just like calm as can be. And I'm thinking, man, that cop has the hardest job in life, and I have to honor him because he's not raising his voice once. I'm like, Karen, you're just so stupid. Shut up.
I'm going to stop you there for just 1 second and also say that keep in mind Cosmic's not comparing Rainbow Dash to a Karen. He's not doing that, so you may continue.
I'm just making the analogy of what I'm doing, folks. I'm making the analogy between the two, that how they acted as like something in real life. I'm not saying that Rainbow Dash is a Karen, and I'm saying Dishwater Slog is a cop. I'm not saying that. I'm just making the equilibrium analogy that how they acted in the show is somewhat seems like Karens and cops in the real world. If you know that analogy, if you know what Karens are, if you don't, have a good time. Go look it up on the internet. You will see that some of these people. You will wonder how the human race has survived this long with people like that. Anyway, let's get back to what we're actually talking about. So anyway, I think him being apathetic as he was, or as calm as he was, with Rainbow Dash goading her and the rest of the main six along, I think it was a very good way to do it because you don't see a lot of that even today. Because, like I said earlier, you don't see a whole lot of people arguing calmly. You see people arguing like they do. And like Mountain said, with an internet troll, I'm telling you, I have looked at things online, and the flame wars are intense. Some places I've seen people back and forth, and I'm sorry, people say, "Oh, there's a race war all going on in America." It's also going on online, by the way. Just FYI for people who don't know that. Flame wars go on online, and it crosses every line that we can. It crosses race, creed, sex, religion, politics, everything. So this video played it a lot. This episode played it a lot better. That you don't have to. That sometimes, well, you're not supposed to do this anyway. That's the whole full moral of the episode. But I think it was cool that it said arguments can start this way too. But the whole moral of the episode, just do what you do, and when you got your friends around you, as long as they respect you and be your friends, and friendship is magic and whatnot. It's all that really matters, regardless of how good or bad you are at doing whatever you do, whether it's losing or winning or both.
Just anything in general. Like, I've seen people get so worked up about having to earn so much money or to do something so efficiently in something that they used to love that they've absolutely lost the heart of what drove them in the first place. And you can see this here in this episode where Dashi forgets why she is so competitive in the first place. It's to, well, in a way, to bring others joy. And through this competition, it starts out first as an argument with Dishwasher, where she loses her joy, and then it sucks her friends in, and they lose joy because they're having now to be mean to Dashi or to, do hurtful things. And then it brings others, even strangers, into being unhappy by how Dishwasher hurt the little filly.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Rainbow Dash was so caught up in the competition at first, like she normally would be, but then, her conscience and her love of her friends finally, kicked in when it needed to at the most, and she, told Dishwater off.
Yeah, she remembered the core of why she does what she does.
I believe it begins with an L and ends with the loyalty.
Speed. That's really bad now that I think about it.
Okay.
I've actually seen many artists go down this path where it starts out as a hobby, and then as they start to get bigger, they lose the love of what they're doing because they're so focused on finishing commissions or getting their name out there or making enough money and they absolutely lose what used to drive them, which is just the love of creating. And because of that, they get burnt out, or they just completely shut down shop and have said, I'm not going to be doing this anymore. It's just too much for me.
Mm-hmm. And they lose sight of what their passion was in the first place.
Exactly. So I feel like this episode actually has several morals in one, where it's don't lose sight of what drives you. And then, don't get caught up in arguments that you don't have to fight in. Pick and choose your arguments.
Agreed. Okay, let's we'll move on from that real quick. I'm sorry to cut you off so soon, but we're gonna run out of time really quick if we don't try to blow through these a little bit faster. I know that and you know what? You're absolutely right, Soul. It's all a matter of keeping your eyes on the you want to have progress, but at the same time you don't want to lose sight of what's really important.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and a couple of quick things for the episode itself that we'll touch on was we got to see Applejack break the fourth wall again. A very brief moment, but she did in fact break the fourth wall again, which I'm assuming is going to be her trope throughout most of the series.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Actually, even in this next episode, you'll see AJ break the fourth wall again.
It's usually Pinky's job, but they've put it on Applejack now, so
which is
see how
extremely
that
strange.
works.
Because we've always understood Pinky to be the one to, go outside the box, and which she still does, but Applejack's the one that is now breaking the fourth wall, which I'm guessing they gave that to her character to make her more interesting, I'm assuming.
Well, with AJ breaking the fourth wall, it almost feels like an old friend talking to you. When Pinky does it, it feels very much like a joke. I don't know. That's what I've found the difference between the fourth wall breaking.
Ah, I see. Because you can take AJ more seriously, whereas Pinkie Pie you never could.
Yeah. Pinky has developed into more of a catalyst for the others to do things, for story and whatnot, to sort of push it along. Because she has the potions and she has her cooking show competition that they've kind of had going on in the background.
Mm-hmm. Which, that's a future episode, of course. But getting back to AJ, that leads us into our second episode. Well, the second episode that we will be reviewing, which is how Applejack got her hat back. You have the floor, Cosmic.
We do? Okay. Well, just quick go over the story. What the whole thing happens throughout. Applejack finds herself in the midst of an identity crisis when her signature hat more or less becomes a citywide fashion craze. Everybody starts wearing the cowboy hat that makes Applejack so iconic that if you put her in a crowd of a bunch of other ponies, you can tell who she is because of her hat. Even if everybody else looks like her, minus the hat. So, as it goes, she gets, we just talked about potions a second ago, she takes a swig of several potions, which I think may become another running gag through the show. Pinky's got them all. And gets a different hat, a beret in this case. If you know anything about berets and what that might signify, that made me think of an extremely goofy movie, the second one, if anybody's familiar with that. And joins a group of alternative ponies in the hopes of finding a new style to replace her old look. So, what this episode to me was a lot of what I think people do over the years as trends fade in and fade out. It's kind of what this was like at half a point, where the other one was, but that's what it really was like. Everybody started wearing the Applejack hat. That was the first thing. And then when you get to the second part, there's a little squishy cube thing that I don't exactly know what it is, but apparently it tastes very good. We see at the end of the episode, they could have been eating those the whole time. But it's kind of like when trends go off, when crazes happen, when things just pop more or less. When something is brand spanking new and everybody has to get it. It's people becoming uniform instead of becoming uniform, identical. Everybody, following the rules. This is where we got the song "Everything Is Awesome" from. Everybody followed the rules. Everybody followed the instructions on the back of the box. Everybody did everything the same way, but Applejack had the identity crisis because that was her signature look. She was different from every pony that way, and when her hats became the fashion craze, I guess she was no longer herself. She was no longer Applejack. She was just the person that had the hat first, but everybody else now had the hat too, and trying to act kind of like her. I remember Twilight saying the word y'all. I'm like, that doesn't suit Twilight at all. And things like that. So I think in this episode it was good to see how since the full moral of the story goes, it's good to see that your identity, your specific unique self, is unique to you and only you. Even if other people seem like you or are the same like you, you'd rather be just yourself. But changing yourself is not the way to get away from the uniformity, but being yourself in a different way than everybody else. So uniqueness is great. Uniformity can be okay, but don't be so uniform that it makes you want to change. Just be yourself. Be unique in your own way.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to break down the people into like 4 groups. There's the people who do their own thing, which is AJ. Then there's the trendsetters, which is like Rarity. Then there's the followers, who are the people who watch Rarity because she's popular and do what she does. And then there's the hipsters, which are the alternative ponies, trying to find exactly something that is not popular.
Yeah.
Which I want to point out, the alternative ponies have the names Derek and Matt, which are not pony names. They're human names.
Yeah, it's true.
That was just something that I found very funny.
Well, they're alternative ponies, so why would they have pony names? That adds to their alternativeness. They're alternative. They're on their own quest with the squishy block thing that nobody knows what it is, and they look for and then they get the tiaras on their flanks thing. That's a new craze for Derek, Matt, and Nat. The DMM group, I guess, of alternative ponies. So I guess that adds more to the alternativeness that their names are not even ponified in any way. My name is what it is, but in my pony form, I'm Cosmic Prose. Same with Copper. His name is what it is, but in his pony form, it's Copper Cat. Same with you. Your name is what it is, but in your Kieran form, it's Mountain Soul. So it's kind of I'm hoping that's what the writers were kind of going for when they made their names Derek, Matt, and Matt. It's like, these are alternative ponies. Let's give them really simple, human sounding names. Because if that's what they were going for, that's a stroke of genius right there. Because I wouldn't have thought of that. I've been like, I got to come up with 3 new pony names. Guy walks by the office. Hey, what you got to? I got to come up with 3 new pony names by Friday. Like, I love ponies, but this job kind of sucks.
That was actually something I missed first time I watched the episode. Is it just completely passed me by, was that joke?
Yeah, I understand that. It's like, man, it looks so...
Well, it's because it's normal to us.
Yeah, it is. We're human-ish. I'm going to use that word because sometimes people aren't. But, we live in the more normal, human-ish world where names like that, like you said, are normal to us. I mean, I have a best friend whose name is Derek. I have an uncle whose name is Matt. It's not Matthew, it's Matt. And, that's just normal to me. I had no problem with that. I'm like, okay, that's normal. Yeah, but then it's like, wait a minute. This is a TV show about ponies. We got things like Twilight Sparkle and Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash. Those aren't normal people names. Like Derek, Matt, and Matt. That's really simple. It's like, okay. I'm almost falling. It's like, okay, I just switched from pony to not pony show. It's only half pony now. It's Derek, Matt, and Matt. But yeah. If the writers did that, I applaud you. Take $2 out of petty cash, buy yourself something pretty. That was a stroke of genius.
In the episode itself, with Rarity being, Rarity, it seems like, it had the sense of her just grasping at straws, but at the same time having inspiration when she decided to go that route with AJ's hat. It kind of felt out of place compared to what we've seen with Rarity in the past, always using gems and jewels and stuff like that. Having her design something so simple, it felt like a side of Rarity we hadn't seen yet. It didn't feel completely out of place. It just felt like, okay, now we finally get to see something that doesn't involve, specific kinds of jewelry sewn into a dress. Because when you think about it, did we ever see Rarity really design male suits?
But I think we have seen her wear some more less jeweled out stuff when she was gargaring over that one famous clothes designer who fell in love with AJ. And so we already copied AJ to try and get his attention.
Yeah, I don't think it was a clothes designer. I think it was a like travel something or other, and his name was Trenderhoof. I remember that episode specifically. I think it was called like Rarity's Day Off or something. She was playing the some sort of like wine tasting talent show, fashion something or other, and yeah, Trenderhoof. He ate that one really apple they thought was extinct. He ate all 4 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have seen her sort of go for more a cowboy-esque look while being inspired by AJ. But what I did find interesting is AJ didn't design these hats. As you watch the episode, you see them shipped in boxes, almost Amazon style. And these ponies just take them out of these boxes, so they're not even getting them from AJ. I mean, Rarity. Rarity is just setting the trend for them.
So is it possible rarity is infringing on the hat itself? With it not really being an original design?
Yeah, it looks that way anyway. It's not even her design. She's just setting the trend for it.
It just kind of hit me on that, huh?
But I've seen this actually happen too, where there will be an artist, or sorry, everything for me goes back to art. I've seen where somebody is an artist and they will be a very small artist, you know, doing their own thing with their own style, and then someone who's more popular picks it up and does something similar, and it blows up. And then people look back at this original artist who started this style and say, hey, you're copying this person. And they say, no, this was my style. I was doing this before this trendsetter did this. And they've gotten so much hate before where they either stop doing art or they have to change their style because it's now a trend to do artwork in this style, even though they started it. And I relate with AJ on this one, where she's trying to find herself, but herself was already found.
I agree with that. I mean, it happens a lot of different ways. I do agree with Saul with the somebody started drawing like this, so I saw it and I started drawing like it, and it always comes back to the person who actually, the person or peoples who originally started, like, no, I did this first. This person's actually copying me, and that person who started it first isn't believed because mainly what they did, as Soul said, it was small, it was not highly noticed. It's like, ooh, I have 50 people who are following my artwork. They know all about it. Then this one person who has been doing art just as long as that person, but has more of a knack for it, does it, and they've got, you know, instead of 50 followers, they've got 500 followers, and it spreads more like wildfire. Whoever's got the bigger audience usually is the one credited for what happens in their own little sad corner of the galaxy world. But I see that too. It is really a big deal to find, as Mount said, your own side, the side of you that's unique. And I mean, I think once you find yourself, you find what makes you different, what makes you unique. What makes you unique. I think if you stick with it, eventually you're going to be the only person with it for inordinate amount of time. For instance, you know, I know, you know, because as it happens, trends come and trends go. But if you stay with one trend and you don't, you know, do what everybody else is doing, eventually you're going to be the only person with one of these trends that has, quote unquote, passed. But I've also noticed that every so many decades, trends come back. Like right now, the 80s are back in style for whatever reason, you know, or 80s are coming back into style as it is. And, you know, we don't have, you know, there's nobody that's saying, oh, the 80s are coming back, but the people who were born in the 80s are like, huh, this is normal to me. And that kind of, when that kind of stuff happens, you know, it's, if you were born in that era, it's kind of normal for you. The world is in the kind of turmoil it's in, I guess. But, you know, certain kind of trends always come back around. But if you stay in one trend, you'll be trending when it comes back around, I guess. But I say just stay true to yourself, just stay unique as you are now, and then, you know, when it comes back around, you'll be prepared.
Yeah, and that was the whole idea of this episode was just stay true to yourself, even if people mock you or copy someone just like you and they get the credit for you. You know, just stay true to yourself because initially it will be what defines you. Because trends come and go so fast.
Agree with that.
I've actually had a similar experience where I obviously am an artist and I've been told, oh, you make really good art by a friend, and then they turn around and they commission someone else for artwork that I could have done for cheaper. But just because it was a big name, they went to this big name instead of me. And similar story, kinda.
I don't think on that too much. It's not, like you said, it's not so much that you're not a good artist, it's just the fact that this artist has a bigger reputation.
Yeah, it's so easy to overlook the little guy sometimes. That big trendsetters who don't overlook the little guy will be the one that's setting the trend, obviously, not the little one.
Mm-hmm. But speaking of trends, this kind of leads us into the last episode that we'll be reviewing. I'm just going to call it Flutter Meow. Cute-pocalypse.
Cute-pocalypse, meow.
Yeah.
Cute-pocalypse, meow, episode 4. And since Mountain hit first, I hit second. Copper, the floor is yours.
So anyway, the yellow horse is like, dude, I'm so cute at what I do, but you know what? I'm gonna go be cute elsewhere and be cute to these other ponies. So Flutter Horse, our yellow pones, is like, I'm gonna go out, sit at this park, and just ponder the things that are all cute. And then this weird guy, this like thing like with a cat face and cat tail, like shows up and like totally like shows up and says, hey, you know what? I'm cute too. And they're like, you know what? We have so much in common. So like Flutters and like this cat or like get together, start having fun. But then like Flutters is like, huh, you know what? You are really cute. And the cat's like, really? Well, I'll tell you what. Here's a couple of these armbands that show our friendship. We could be friends. But then this cat like, you know what? It'd be funny if other people got hurt in the process. And if I make fun of other people, like, I know, art show, more like fart show, bam, and Flutter's like laughing, and her friends are like, that's not funny. So, Flutters is like, dude, that's okay, that's funny. But as things go on, this cat, this weird cat guy, he's like, uh-oh. One second. Cut me off in mid-rant.
For some reason, I think I haven't actually seen this one. I must have somehow jumped episodes, and it was called episode, the same name, but put as a different episode. So I know what you guys are talking about. I haven't seen it too in depth.
Done. Oh, I just had, I had a brief intermission. So like this cat is like jumping on these dumbbells while Fluttershy is trying to be, you know, hip and popular, and the cat jumps on the dumbbells and then jumps off, and then like later on in the show, Flutters is like, I challenge you to a cute battle, and like Flutters is like, cute, and then the cat's like, cute. And then Flutters is like, really cute, and the cat's like, really cute. And then Flutters is like, ultra super mega pinnacle cute, and the cat explodes. The end. Now I'm done.
Great explanation.
You're wondering, the cat's name is Bubbles Cherub McSquee. Just a little FYI. So, cat dude, which Copper so greatly described. Bubbles Cherub McSquee. Nobody names their cat that, just like nobody names anybody else Francisco Montague Zanzibar. But that's a totally different story and a totally different genre of a totally different show. But yeah. Bubbles Cherub McSquee.
The cat is definitely a throwback to the artist's day as the Littlest Pet Shop artist.
Sorry, I'm still laughing at the name. Bubbles Cherub McSquee. The cat. Just so I can name it Bubbles Cherub McSquee?
Well,
no other reason.
It's kind of another one of those misleading episodes where we have this kind of cat antagonist taking advantage of Fluttershy's I hate to say gullibility.
Like the Paris Sprites episode in Swarm of the Century?
Similar to it, yes.
They were so cute. And Fluttershy just couldn't get rid of them all. She had to keep one. And then there's like a bajillion of them as Princess Celestia approaches. And Pinky's doing her thing, breaking the fourth wall by playing 10 instruments at once, which is normal for Pinkie Pie.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like this is kind of a representation of toxic people in your life, eh? And how they will worm their way into your life through sweet talk and get you to really like them, and then force you to do things that are kind of mean.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder why we're extroverts. People say, why are you so extroverted? I wonder why. Could it be because of this?
Mm-hmm. Also,
Toxic much?
a couple tidbits inside the episode that we haven't really covered in previous episodes was that we have this weird kind of Celestia colored phone, which of course, I mean, some people have called a cell phone, but it has Celestia's cutie mark on it.
Cutie mark, yeah.
So
I noticed that too.
I think we might have covered this last episode review, but I will say that it's kind of like we're definitely introducing more and more technology into the pony universe now.
Well, that's because kids who are like 3 have a cell phone now, so it's normal.
Yeah, and the first episode we talked about, Dashi was wearing earbuds, so she was listening to music.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're Air Jordans or whatever they're called now. Or
EarPod
Buds and whatever.
Yeah. And in the Applejack one, I don't know if it was shown, but they ordered their hats offline, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Pinky's came in a big box. That clearly resembles what might what you might find on your doorstep at Amazon or UPS or whatever. Mostly Amazon though. I'm waiting to see a drone. To be perfectly honest, I'm waiting to find a drone in one of the later episodes.
Mm-hmm. It's a shame.
I hope we see a drone.
With Fluttershy in the workout area, they missed a perfectly good opportunity to bring back bulk biceps, which we have not seen yet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's good. Actually, I've actually looked it forward. He is in one of the episodes. I'm just not sure which one. So no spoilers. I just know he's going to be back.
Well, that's a spoiler.
His role is being reprised as a guest star, at least in one episode. Which I want to bring that up too. In this episode, if you missed it, pretty sure it was this episode. Spike was back.
Yep.
Not voiced by Kathleen Westlake, but voiced by Tabitha St. Germain, the same person for Princess Celestia, and most notably Rarity's voice.
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
Yeah, Spike does make an appearance, just not with Kathy at the helm.
That is correct. We also get this weird kind of we're gonna call her the emotionless hipster poser Fluttershy character who makes a brief
Fluttershy,
appearance.
Fluttershy, Fluttershy.
Flutter?
Wasn't that the name, or am I wrong?
I honestly don't remember her name.
I thought it was Buttershy or something like that.
But her color
Pretty sure
scheme,
it was.
I don't know why,
So
but
the
like her,
color scheme is just the opposite of Fluttershy, so she's like a backwards Fluttershy.
no. The backwards Fluttershy was when Discord decided to instigate the negative zone whenever he was forced to play
No, that was evil
ogres and
Fluttershy. That's
ogrettes.
totally different. That's totally different. This is the same exact. This is Fluttershy on the other side. This is a normal Fluttershy that is different. That Fluttershy was mean and gray. She was one color. All the main six were the same color eventually.
So is it just me, or
Not
does Fluttershy get the
this is
most
different. This
alternate
is
personalities?
no, it's not the same thing.
No,
And yes,
but
Buttershy was the name.
think about it. Fluttershy, I think, has the most alternate personalities in Friendship is Magic and in this series. When you think about it, because you think about her original self, and then when she has to deal with oh shoot, what's the name of the Minotaur?
Iron Will.
Iron Will. Then we get Flutter Bold, or Flutter Brash, if you will. And then when Rarity has asked Fluttershy to watch the shop, she takes on 3 more personalities. The professional businesswoman, if you will, the hipster, and then
It's different.
I know it's
Different.
different. But there's still
As we
alternate
have multiple
personalities.
personality disorder for 15 minutes. Happens all the time. And you get thrown into something that you don't really aren't good at, and you try it. Just Fluttershy not being herself once again. And she does sometimes. But seriously, if you look at Buttershy, which is the other one, her hair is the color of Fluttershy's coat, and her coat is the color of Fluttershy's hair. And she's also a hipster without doubt. She's got the matching uh the matching sock hat and ascot thing going on. She's also got a cell phone that doesn't. I'm not sure whose cutie mark it would be. It's not. It's definitely not Celestia's, but there's some mark on the back that looks kind of like a sun, but it looks like a sun going into a black hole. If you look close enough at the phone, that's what it looks like. It also has a camera on it, and I noticed that Fluttershy's didn't. That at least not the Celestia phone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking Fluttershy is like that one apathetic hipster friend you have, or the kind of the apathetic hipster friend, but they're always on the newest trend. They've got the newest phone, the newest clothes. They know what's trending and what's not, but they act like it's normal.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything that they have, they're just waiting for the next thing. That's what it kind of seemed like to me. It's one of those people who you walk by school and you know that they really don't. They had their emotions either don't exist or are hidden from you, but they're not. But it's not a goth thing because goth are like nothing makes sense anymore. This party doesn't make sense. This music doesn't make sense. Nothing here makes sense anymore, and that's all they think about. Just like you are a real downer. But in this case, this is like the hipster of all hipster ponies that we've ever seen. So matching, like I said, sock hat and ascot, the phone that I'm guessing is more normal because it's actually smaller than the massive Celestia phone that Fluttershy had. And we all know how it started. It started out with really small, tiny phones, and they got really big, and now they're still kind of big for certain people who can't see like me. But there are still some pretty dadgum small phones. But
Speak.
it seems like started cell phones were huge, and then they got small, and then and now they're kind of bigger again. But it's the same kind of thing there. I think this is that Buttershy is just kind of like uh the hipster pony who's just waiting for the next best thing, and that's why they have the newest phone so they can see what's trending immediately next.
Mm-hmm. Also, during the episode, we
Now
also
something
get to
about
see
Britney
another
Spears, I
bit
think.
of Fluttershy with with Big and Small. I mean, we get to see her grow again, which I'm assuming is. I mean, we've seen Applejack with breaking the fourth wall, and we've seen Rarity with the ever loving, the ever so reoccurring sofa couch, and now we have Fluttershy's uh, growth and shrinking, which I'm assuming will stay as their tropes throughout the entire series.
Yeah, I understand why they're trying to make her grow and shrink to try and emphasize emotion and how she's trying to use it. But I feel like if you're going off of a more of a trying anime style, which obviously is something that I'm more skilled in than more Western style cartoons. But if you go off of a more anime, you should be able to tell emotion easily through the eyes. So I think it's a little overdone with the growing and shrinking, but it's kind of her thing right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you do recall, we also had Flutter Hulk back in the superhero comic episode where
Power
he was
ponies.
transported in to the comic.
Power ponies. Maybe the episode's
Yes.
called Power Ponies.
Yep.
The Power Ponies with Flutterbook and Philly Second. That's really the only one the Mass Matterhorn, that kind of stuff.
I just think that what if that had something to contribute towards growing and shrinking? Maybe the writers thought back to that episode and thought, well, we had Fluttershy
Well,
grow in
I
that
don't think that's
episode.
what happened because how I saw it, um, when you see that kind of thing, I was seeing it kind of like Fluttershy got this new aura of power and such because she was angry, and more or less Rarity was still on her like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. But when that kind of stuff happens, you can feel so small and insignificant to the person who's got all the fire behind them. You kind of feel like just a speck to this massive hulking frame of something. It's just you against it, and it's like, well, I feel real small now. This big hulking emotion, or it's just something that's bigger than you and's got more power behind it than you could ever fuel it. I don't think she actually quote unquote grew because when she goes back and confronts Mr. McSquee, uh, Mr. Bubbles Chair McSquee, she's still the same size as the rest of the ponies. I understand where you're coming from. I'm just saying I felt more that it was not that she got bigger, but what was behind her was bigger. Her emotion that pushed her to that edge, and in the face of that, Rarity felt small. That's just me. I'm just a crazy guy over here. That's all.
Anything you'd like to add, Soul?
No, not really.
So, as a whole, of all 3 episodes, comparing them to the first one, I actually enjoyed. The one that I enjoyed the most of the 3 was probably. I think the best of the worst is what grabbed my attention the most. And of all.
Agree. The best of
Yep.
the worst, I really enjoyed.
What say you, Cosmo?
Sorry, I didn't.
Oh. I mean, best of the worst was alright. You had, Kyle come back and the Thorax player playing, Slog there. That was alright. And, Applejack's big hat. It's Applejack. Can't go wrong with Applejack. Good message at the end, but I still think the last one there, Cute-pocalypse Meow. I don't know. I think for me, out of those 3, that was my favorite. You had the introduction. I mean, you did have, Dishwater Slog too as a new character enter in, but you also had, you had this new character. I don't know what it is with me and new characters, but when they have a name like Bubbles Chair McSquee, I think they've got a story there. Dishwater Slog, I'm like, okay, he's white trash. Or in his case, green trash. But, I was like, huh. Bubbles Chair McSquee. That's a name that if I had it, I had to have a story behind it. Dishwater Slog, I don't need a story there. But we've hit so many things on this. There's a lot of good parts for everyone. I mean, the first one, I don't have a whole lot to kind of recap it all to say that there was a lot of difference in here, except that, winning is, if you're a good winner, just keep winning. And if you lose at everything, like Mr. Slog, just lose at everything and take it in stride. With the second video, the funny thing is that uniformity of normal names like Derek, Matt, and Matt compared to the pony names, I thought that was inventive, like I said. And just with this last one, it just, I don't know, it's just, I've said this before, probably, maybe not on this show, but Fluttershy is without a doubt my favorite pony out of all of them. I don't know why. Maybe it's because when I was younger, I was very shy and kind of like Fluttershy in that way. I mean, I grew older and stayed just as extroverted as she is. I don't have a whole 20,000 friends or anything like that, like somebody like, Pinkie Pie has or anything. I mean, if you go to my church and you say, hey, who is this? I won't be able to point them out in the crowd because, I don't know people at my church. I had to kind of guess. I mean, I know who some people are, but I don't know everybody, I know a certain group of the roughly 100 people that come on Sunday after the coronavirus, and I could tell you even less of the, roughly 150 people, the 200 people that came before the coronavirus. I can't tell you all these people. I know some people, most of them I don't know. I just know that I know their face, and I know they come to church on a regular basis, but I don't know who they are. Some people use Facebook. I rarely use Facebook, ever. I know who everybody on Facebook is, who my friends are. I know who they are, but once again, extrovert plus pandemic. Makes for not a lot of talking. It's mostly just my closest friends, such as Copper, some other friends at church, and just family and coworkers, and that's really about it. In fact, I don't think I have one coworker actually though on Facebook as my friends. It's just they're my forced acquaintances that I get to work with.
Now, when you say
Yeah, I
copper,
mean,
who's this copper you speak of?
anyway, like I said, I really Fluttershy is probably my number one favorite pony out of the main six that we know. So I think I really kind of more connected with Fluttershy in that episode, which is why I probably like it more than the other two or have more of a connection with it. But you guys were with the best of the worst, and so mine's Cute-pocalypse meow.
Well, I mean, with you, you suggested your favorite pony out of the whole lot. My favorite episode was the one with Rainbow Dash, but I agree that so far AJ is still best pone.
I did like AJ's episode, but I relate a lot to Rainbow Dash. She's also my favorite pony, but I'm not being biased on that just as much as I relate to it. And I completely understand sort of the do a thing because you like to do it and not because you're goaded into it doing it.
Agreed. Peer pressure is something that haunts us all at one point of our lives, or even more so. So yeah,
Yeah, big time. I agree with that. I can vouch for that. Peer pressure is a big part of our growing up lives, and seriously, we just had to kind of face it as as it comes. We don't really have a whole heck of a lot of choice, contrary to what you might hear.
The
this
show actually is growing on me. Like when I first started watching it, I was so shocked by how fast paced everything was and how cutesy it's supposed to be. Oh my gosh, look at this, look at this, look at this. But the more I watch the episodes and repeatedly watch the episodes, because sometimes you have to watch them more than once to actually understand what's going on,
mm-hmm.
I actually can relate quite a lot to this show. And I feel like they're doing a great job catching the very fast paced world that we live in now, where it's a lot online and they're all new problems because online has unique problems
Mm-hmm.
and situations that the older generations didn't used to have, or how technology is so advanced where you can order something and have it come that day or the next day. So I find that they're summing up today's generation very well.
Agreed. I mean, I will say too that my opinion of this show is starting to change a little bit. I mean, with first impressions, I really wasn't looking forward to watching the series. Honestly, I was thinking that it was going to be too cringy, and my mind immediately went to Teen Titans Go, because Teen Titans Go, and I've already made this analysis before. I mean, we went from such a serious anime style to this cartoony comedy style, and it kind of broke me at that point. But with this, they haven't really lost that sense of wonder and fascination that we grown to love about the show. We still have the same voice actors, we still have the same characters, just with different designs and different stories. We don't get the in-depth of story that we got before, but we do have some continuing smaller story plot lines, such as Pinkie Pie's show, inside this show that we can follow along and enjoy while we watch it. And I mean, it almost when I watch this, I almost see just as much effort put into the animation of the characters as they were in the previous generation. Which, I mean, obviously there wasn't as much put into the background, but the background isn't supposed to be the main focal point. The background is there just to be a support, which they're doing in this case. So I honestly say that I am beginning to, which I am surprisingly going to say, I am beginning to really like this show. Or series, if you will.
Yeah, and I am too, which is surprising to me too.
Well, I'd say I'm getting into it just because it's something, or maybe it's because I'm also watching Gen 4 at the moment. But I'm just kind of, it's something that you can still relate to, even though it's on the more cartoonish side. It really kind of hits that on the head more than anything else, which is not a bad thing. It's not what I'm saying. Just saying it is a lot more cartoonish than what I am usually used to. Like Copper said, when they did this to Teen Titans Go, they kind of messed around with it. In my opinion, I didn't like Teen Titans Go.
Agreed.
I haven't seen Teen Titans Go or Teen Titans in general to have an opinion of how it's changed. So I can't understand what you guys are talking about, but I do understand kind of like the shock of having a show go from something serious to suddenly cartoony.
Agreed. But you have to admit, the animation style of the characters involved is actually really good. It doesn't feel like they cut corners with the animation, and it doesn't feel okay. If you go back to episode 1 of Friendship is Magic, you can actually kind of feel the whole Flash animation style. You can feel like they're kind of puppets and they're pieces of characters just kind of put together to create animation. This feels like full on drawn animation in comparison to that. So I mean, it's incredible to see them actually go forward so well and not make it feel like kind of like some Disney sequels. Like if you think about the first Aladdin movie and then you think about the second Aladdin movie, Return of Jafar, you see that huge drop off in animation quality. The story's still there, but you can clearly see from the visual perspective that the animation just dropped off.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
So I mean it and the one thing that will always kind of grab me is when they put so much detail in the eyes. I mean, you look in those eyes and you see like this space texture in there. They knew these artists knew exactly what they were doing when they put that texture in there in almost everybody's eyes. When especially when you get the close-ups, it just it kind of. I mean, does anyone else get like this feeling of like comfort and warmth whenever you look at stuff like that, or is it just me?
No. Um, I actually find it kind of cheap, to be honest. As
One with it. One with it.
I'm sorry, but I find the way designed like anime eyes, where they'll have like several different layers of color, fully beats out this speckled, slightly different color eye that I can draw in like a minute.
It.
Well, that just killed me. How
Oh,
dare
I'm
you?
sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. But
Oh, I'm hurt.
but
I'm bleeding out
Put
right
him
now. Thanks so
down.
much.
Make him crash and burn. He doesn't deserve
I'm
it.
sorry.
He'll
I'm
be
sorry.
fine.
Be quiet, Peanut Gallery.
Just
I don't know about that. I wish I had some peanuts. I'd throw them at you. But way
no,
over
no.
there.
I'm
Whenever you
still
sleep.
I still kind of have the opinion that this is very much a feeling of like a color in the lines look and a very Cal Arts animation. Like I see that and I'm not yes, it's a lot cleaner than the first episodes of Gen 4, but also Gen 4 evolved and grew into its animation, and I don't know if this is going to be able to grow into its animation um, because Cal Arts has become such a unique style generation of animation now that I don't know if it's going to change much. Like, I don't know if it can get better. That's what I'm saying.
I do see where you're coming from, and I probably overemphasized myself a little bit. But I was looking at more as it from a viewer's perspective and not from an artist's perspective. And you know what? You were absolutely right. The style is not uncommon. It's also the same style that was actually used in Teen Titans Go.
And Steven Universe and Gravity Falls and World of Gumball. You know, it's become the style of this generation of animated TV shows.
I miss the old days. It's the old days. The shows that you didn't actually watch on TV when you were a kid, you know? Miss things like Johnny Quest and Thundercats and
Scooby
the
Doo.
old shows. The stuff that people are like, these were cartoons in your day? It's like, no, these were before me, but this is what I watched. You know? Old shows. I never got to see any He-Man, but yeah, I got to see just about everything else. Sonic the Hedgehog from the Saturday morning cartoons. That was that was the good stuff right there. That was what I was into, and that was some. If you ever go and look back at some of that stuff, whoever did the drawing for that, they got paid good money. I hope, because holy crap! You look at some of the detail on that, like Johnny Quest and like I said, the Thundercats. Holy balls! I don't know who drew, but I hope they got paid for it. I hope they got paid well. They got paid peanuts. They got ripped off.
Yeah, you got paid peanuts because you're in the peanut gallery. That's where you belong. Chewing me.
Hey, I like peanuts.
Sure.
I have no allergy to them, so fine with peanuts. I'm fine with peanuts. Ooh, you ever had spiced cashews? Oh. Or spiced pecans. Oh, that's right. That's right there. That's where. That's yeah. That's yeah.
I swear that he does these commentaries just to mess with me.
Dude, I'm in your life just to mess with you. What are you talking about?
Sorry, I was doing AJ fourth wall break.
Whatever.
Gosh, I hope that doesn't become a saying, an AJ fourth wall break instead of a Pinky fourth wall break.
Oh, it's going to be a saying for me for sure. Now that I can
Oh,
actually
no.
say it, I'm gonna keep saying it. Like I said,
Deadpool,
AJ best phone.
Deadpool, fourth wall break inside of a fourth wall break, which is like 16 walls.
Well, you do understand where the term fourth wall break comes from, don't you?
They break down the house. I mean, after you
Well,
break the. Go ahead.
it's a theater saying where you'd have the left stage, the back, and the right stage as 3 walls, and the fourth wall was where the stage ended and where the audience began. And so breaking the fourth wall was stepping off of the stage and going into the audience, or saying something that the audience in their generation outside of their world in the stage would understand.
I'm talking about where the actors step off the stage into the audience, and then the audience and the actors go out into the street. That's a fourth wall break instead of a fourth wall break, which is like 16 walls.
I think we'll end this here. We thank you for joining us here on the Omega Republic's Pony Life Reviews. We've had fun. We've had fun talking about this. We've had fun discussing it and watching it, and hopefully you'll be able to join us here next time here on the Omega Republic. We thank Cosmic Pros and Mountain Soul for joining us today, and for Mountain Soul, of course, leading us and helping us choose these episodes out.
Bye!
See you later.
You have a good evening, everybody.